The night James and Lily Potter died was supposed to end everything. That was what the wizarding world believed. A dark lord fell, a family was erased, and a baby was left crying in the ruins of a broken house. But fate does not always follow the rules people write for it. Sirius Black arrived at Godric's Hollow with his heart already tearing apart. He had been laughing only days ago, joking with James about how Voldemort would never guess the switch. Sirius, the loud one, the reckless one, the perfect distraction. Peter, the secret keeper. It was meant to be clever. It was meant to keep Lily and James alive. Instead, Sirius stood in front of a smoking ruin, the air thick with magic and death. He pushed past the Aurors before they could stop him. He didn't care about rules or questions or consequences. He only cared about what he already felt deep in his bones. They were gone. Inside the house, the silence screamed. James lay near the stairs, his glasses broken, his wand useless in his open hand. Sirius dropped to his knees beside him, shaking, laughing weakly like this was all some cruel prank. But James didn't laugh back. He never would again. Upstairs, Lily lay still, her red hair spread across the floor like spilled fire. And in the ruined crib, a baby cried. Loud, alive. Harry Sirius picked him up with shaking hands. The boy had a lightning-shaped scar on his forehead, already red and angry. Sirius pressed his forehead to Harry's, his breath uneven. "I'm here, pup," he whispered. "I've got you. I swear." Hagrid arrived soon after, his massive shadow filling the doorway. His eyes were red, his beard wet with tears. When he saw Sirius holding Harry, relief washed over his face. "Thank Merlin," Hagrid said. "I was worried I'd be too late." Sirius stood, clutching Harry tighter. "He's coming with me." Hagrid hesitated. "Dumbledore's orders, Sirius." The boy's got to go to his aunt. "Blood protection." "It's for his own good," Sirius laughed, sharp and broken. His aunt. The one Lily cried about in her letters. The one who hated magic. "You think that's good for him?" Hagrid looked torn. "I don't make the rules." "Well, for once, I don't care," Sirius snapped. He pulled out his wand. Not threatening, just firm. "I'm his godfather. I'm family. And I'm not leaving him with people who'll treat him like dirt." Something in Sirius's voice made Hagrid pause. This wasn't reckless Sirius Black. This was a man who had lost everything in one night and refused to lose one more thing. After a long moment, Hagrid nodded slowly. "Then take him. But be careful. Dumbledore won't like this." Sirius didn't care who liked it. They vanished before dawn. The next weeks were chaos. The wizarding world was celebrating, but Sirius Black was being hunted. Peter Pettigrew was found dead, or so it appeared, and the story spread fast. Sirius, the traitor. Sirius, the murderer. Sirius, the mad dog who betrayed the Potters. But Sirius never heard the accusations. He was too busy learning how to hold a bottle properly, how to calm a crying baby at 3 in the morning, how to laugh again when Harry smiled up at him with James's eyes. They hid, first in abandoned wizarding cottages, then across the sea. Sirius used old Black family vaults, favors he never thought he'd need, and magic he'd never cared to learn before. Protective charms, wards, silence spells. He learned them all at night when Harry slept against his chest. Sirius whispered stories about 2 idiots named James and Sirius who thought they were invincible. About a brilliant witch with fire in her hair and kindness in her heart. About how Harry was loved beyond measure, even if the world had already failed him once. "I won't be perfect," Sirius murmured one night, rocking Harry gently. "I'll mess up. A lot. But I'll never stop loving you. Not for a second." Harry yawned and grabbed Sirius's finger with surprising strength. Sirius smiled through tears. Years passed quietly. Harry grew up knowing warmth, laughter, and freedom. He learned to fly on a broom before he could properly read. He learned that magic was something beautiful, not something to hide. He learned that when nightmares came, strong arms would always pull him close. But shadows never stay away forever. On Harry's 5th birthday, the wards around their home trembled. Sirius felt it instantly. He stood, wand in hand, heart pounding. Outside, distant magic rippled through the air like a warning. The world had finally found them. Sirius looked down at Harry, who was laughing over a half-melted cake, chocolate smeared across his face. Sirius smiled back, but his eyes were hard with resolve. "No matter what happens," he said softly, more to himself than to Harry, "they're not taking you from me." The magic outside didn't break the wards that day, but it changed something. Sirius felt it in his bones. The quiet life they had built was no longer invisible. Someone, somewhere, was looking for Harry again. That night, Sirius packed. Harry watched from the doorway, clutching his stuffed toy broom. His small face serious in a way no child should be. "Are we in trouble?" he asked. Sirius froze for half a second, then smiled easily. He knelt down and zipped the bag shut. "Nah, just moving again. You know, we like adventures." Harry nodded, but his eyes stayed on Sirius's face. He was far too good at reading moods already. That scared Sirius more than Death Eaters ever had. They didn't apparate this time. Sirius used old portkeys, layered with tricks and delays, bouncing them through places no one cared about. By sunrise, they were in a quiet coastal town where magic barely stirred. The house was small, creaky, and smelled like salt. Sirius liked it instantly. Life settled again, but Sirius never relaxed. He trained himself while Harry slept. Defensive spells, nonverbal magic. Things he had once mocked as boring. Every spell he mastered felt like a promise kept. Harry grew fast, too fast. He was loud, curious, and stubborn, with a wild streak that reminded Sirius painfully of James. But there was something else, too. Harry asked questions. Deep ones. "Why don't I have a mom and dad like other kids?" Harry asked one evening, sitting cross-legged on the floor. Sirius's chest tightened. He had rehearsed this moment 1,000 times. Still, nothing prepared him. "You had the best mom and dad," Sirius said gently. "Brave, kind. They loved you more than anything. Did they leave because of me?" Harry's voice was small. "No," Sirius said quickly, pulling Harry into his arms. "Never because of you. They died protecting you. That's not leaving. That's love." Harry went quiet, thinking. Then he nodded once. "Okay." Sirius held him longer than necessary. Magic showed itself early. Glass rattled when Harry was angry. Lights flickered when he laughed too hard. Once, when a group of older kids cornered him near the docks and called him strange. The sea surged and knocked them flat. Harry came home shaking. "I didn't mean to," he said, eyes wide with fear. "I didn't want to hurt them." Sirius knelt and held his face. "Listen to me. Magic listens to feelings. Strong ones. That doesn't make you bad. It means you need control. And I'll help you learn it." From that day on, training became part of life. Not strict, not cruel. Sirius made it fun. They practiced focus by balancing feathers, control by lighting candles without burning fingers, calm by breathing together when emotions ran high. "You're not a weapon," Sirius reminded him often. "You're a kid who happens to be powerful." But the wizarding world didn't forget. One afternoon, Sirius felt a presence slip past the outer wards. Subtle, skilled. He moved instantly. Wand in hand, pushing Harry behind him. A tall man stepped out of the shadows. Long silver hair, calm eyes that missed nothing. "Dumbledore," Sirius said coldly. "Good afternoon," Sirius Dumbledore replied. "And Harry?" Harry peeked around Sirius's arm, curious but cautious. "You have no right to be here," Sirius snapped. Dumbledore nodded. "I expected you to say that. I'm not here to take Harry." Sirius didn't lower his wand. "Then talk fast." "The protection around Harry weakens with distance from his mother's blood," Dumbledore said. "You know this?" "I know you believe this," Sirius shot back. "And I know what life with the Dursleys would have been like. You don't." Dumbledore's eyes flickered, just slightly, perhaps not fully. Harry stepped forward. "Are you the man from the stories?" he asked. Dumbledore smiled softly. "I suppose I am. Do you want to take me away?" Harry asked. Dumbledore looked at Sirius, then back at Harry. "No, I want you safe." Sirius laughed bitterly. "Then stop hunting us. Clear my name. Let us live." "I cannot," Dumbledore said quietly. "Not yet." That answer told Sirius everything. Dumbledore left without a fight, but the message was clear. Time was moving. The war wasn't over, no matter how much people pretended it was. That night, Sirius sat awake while Harry slept. He watched the rise and fall of his chest, the faint glow of accidental magic curling around him like mist. "They're going to come for you," Sirius whispered, "and I'll be ready." He didn't know when or how, but he knew one thing with painful certainty. Harry Potter was not growing up weak, and the world was not prepared for the boy Sirius Black was raising. The years between 5 and 11 were the hardest and the best all at once. Sirius became many things at the same time. A parent, a teacher, a guard dog, and sometimes a terrified man pretending he knew what he was doing. He made mistakes. He lost his temper. He apologized. Harry learned early that adults could be wrong and still love you completely. They moved often, but not in fear. Sirius taught Harry how to notice patterns, how to trust instincts, how to run if needed, and stand his ground when it mattered. Harry learned dueling basics before he learned long division. Not because Sirius wanted him to fight, but because Sirius knew the world would not be kind to a boy with Harry's name. Still, Sirius never let Harry forget how to be a kid. They raced brooms at sunset. They snuck into magical markets under disillusionment charms. Sirius told embarrassing stories about James that made Harry laugh until his stomach hurt. Some nights, they stayed up too late, eating junk food and arguing about which Quidditch team was best. Dad would have supported the worst one just to annoy everyone. Harry laughed once. Sirius froze. Harry noticed instantly. "I mean James. Sorry." Sirius swallowed hard, then smiled. He would. Absolutely would have. From that day on, Harry said it more often. Dad, not replacing James, not erasing him. Just making room. Magic training grew more serious as Harry got older. Sirius taught him discipline, but never fear. When Harry struggled, Sirius sat beside him, not above him. "You don't control magic by forcing it," Sirius said quietly one evening after a spell backfired. "You listen to it like a wild animal. Respect first. Power comes later." Harry nodded, breathing hard. "You sound like you actually know what you're talking about," Sirius snorted. "Don't get used to it." On Harry's 11th birthday, the letter arrived, not by owl, by fire. The fireplace flared green, a tay, and a thick envelope landed on the rug. Sirius reacted instantly, wand out, heart racing. Harry stared at the letter like it might bite him. The seal read, "Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry." Harry acted up slowly. "This is real, isn't it?" Sirius nodded. "Yeah, it is." They read it together. Supplies list. Term dates. A polite note welcoming Harry Potter. Harry looked up, eyes shining. "I get to go." Sirius smiled, but there was pain in it. "You do." The joy lasted exactly 3 seconds before reality hit them both. Hogwarts meant exposure. Records, eyes, Dumbledore, Sirius. Didn't sleep that night. He paced, argued with himself, cursed Dumbledore's name more times than he could count. But by morning, his decision was made. "You're going," Sirius said firmly. Harry blinked. "I thought I won't cage you," Sirius interrupted. "I won't turn safety into another prison. You deserve a life, friends, a future." Harry stepped closer. "What if they take you away from me?" Sirius crouched, gripping Harry's shoulders. "They'll have to try very hard." Diagon Alley was overwhelming. Harry stared at everything like the world had exploded into color. People stared back. Whispers followed them. "That's him, Harry Potter. And that's Sirius Black." Sirius kept his chin high. Let them look. He wasn't hiding anymore at Ollivanders. The wand chose Harry fast, powerful, responsive. The shop trembled. "Curious," Ollivander murmured. "Very curious." Sirius didn't like that tone. The Sorting Hat was the real test. Sirius watched from the shadows of the Great Hall. Disguised, heart pounding harder than it ever had in a duel. Harry sat on the stool, small and brave and alone. The hat slipped over his eyes. Inside Harry's mind, the voice whispered, "Clever, brave, angry, loyal, not broken, anywhere but Slytherin." Harry thought firmly. The hat paused, then chuckled. "Very well, Gryffindor." The hall erupted. Sirius closed his eyes, breath shuddering out of him. James's house. Lily S. fire. Harry's choice, but the calm didn't last. That night, as Harry lay in his dormitory, a scar burned like fire. He screamed far away. Sirius jolted awake, magic flaring wildly around him. Something ancient stirred, something unfinished. Voldemort was not as dead as the world believed, and Harry, raised with love, strength, and truth, was no longer a neglected child waiting to be shaped by fate. He was already becoming something dangerous to the dark. The scream tore through Sirius like a blade. He felt it through the bond he didn't fully understand. The one formed by years of shared magic, shared fear, shared love. Sirius was out of bed before his mind caught up, wand in hand, heart pounding like it had the night Voldemort fell at Hogwarts. Harry woke, gasping, clutching his scar as pain ripped through his skull. He fell off the bed, shaking, images crashing into him green light. Cold laughter, a snake's hiss, red eyes burning with hunger. "Harry!" Ron shouted, scrambling out of bed. Harry couldn't answer. The pain faded slowly, leaving behind a deep, terrifying certainty. He wasn't alone in his head. The next morning, Dumbledore summoned Harry before breakfast. The office smelled of lemon drops and old secrets. Fawkes watched from his perch, eyes bright and knowing. "You felt something last night," Dumbledore said gently. Harry didn't flinch. "I saw him." Dumbledore's fingers tightened almost imperceptibly. "What did you see?" "A man who isn't dead," Harry said flatly. "And he's angry." Dumbledore studied him for a long moment. This was not the confused child he had expected. This boy met his gaze without fear, without awe. Asterisk, "Your guardian has taught you well," Dumbledore said quietly. Harry shrugged. "He taught me not to lie to people who already know the truth." That answer followed Dumbledore long after Harry left. Word spread quickly that Harry Potter was not the same boy people remembered from stories. He was sharper, quieter. He didn't chase fame. He didn't freeze when Malfoy sneered. When someone shoved him, Harry shoved back controlled, precise, and without hesitation. Ron noticed first. Hermione noticed next. "You fight like someone who's trained," Hermione said after a short but intense practice duel in their second week. Harry shrugged. "My dad didn't believe in waiting for danger to knock. Sirius sent letters weekly. Long ones, messy ones, full of advice, jokes, warnings, and badly drawn stick figures explaining advanced defensive spells. Harry read them every night. The Philosopher's Stone didn't stay hidden for long. Harry noticed the guards, the strange tension in professors, the way Snape watched him like a loaded wand. He didn't jump into danger blindly. He planned. He listened. And when he realized someone was trying to steal something powerful from the school, he didn't rush to be a hero. He wrote to Sirius. The reply came 2 days later. "Trust your instincts. Don't face adults alone. And if something feels wrong, it is. I'm already moving." That night, when Harry, Ron, Hay, and Hermione went after the stone, it wasn't desperation that drove them. It was preparation. They moved carefully through the traps. Logic, coordination, trust. When they reached the mirror, Harry understood immediately what it demanded. Not desire, intention. He saw himself protecting, not owning. The stone remained out of reach. Voldemort's shade screamed in fury when he realized the boy could not be manipulated. Weeks later, Sirius stood in the Great Hall, no longer hidden. The truth came out fast. Pettigrew alive. Sirius innocent. Dumbledore watched it all unfold with quiet acceptance. He had gambled with children's lives once. He would not do it again. Harry ran into Sirius's arms without hesitation. "You okay?" Sirius asked, voice rough. Harry nodded. "I told you I could handle myself." Sirius laughed, tight and proud. "Yeah, you did." The summer that followed was different. No hiding, no running. The world knew now. Sirius Black was free. Harry Potter was not alone, but peace was fragile. Dark marks appeared again. Whispers grew louder. Voldemort was gathering strength. Sirius trained Harry harder, not cruelly. "But honestly, they're going to come for you," Sirius said one night. "And they won't underestimate you this time." Harry met his gaze, calm and steady. Good, because this time, the boy who lived wasn't a neglected orphan raised in a cupboard. He was a weapon sharpened by love, loyalty, and truth. And the war would feel that difference. The second year began with a warning Sirius could not ignore. The scar burned again. Harry woke before dawn, breath shallow, sweat cold on his skin. This time, the pain didn't scream. It whispered, a low slithering voice curling around his thoughts, pressing against the edges of his mind like fingers testing a locked dot open. Harry sat up, fists clenched. "No," he said aloud, the way Sirius had taught him. "Name it. Reject it." The pressure faded, but the fear stayed. By breakfast, whispers had replaced laughter in the corridors. Students were being petrified. Messages appeared on walls in blood-red letters. The Chamber of Secrets had been opened. Harry didn't tell anyone at first. He watched, listened. Patterns again. He heard the voice where others heard nothing. Snake. Ancient, angry, obedient when Hermione was petrified. Something in Harry snapped. He wrote to Sirius that night. Hands shaking. The reply came back fast and furious. "You are not crazy. Parseltang doesn't make you dark. It makes you informed. Do not let anyone isolate you. And Harry, if the voice tells you to go somewhere alone, you do the opposite." Harry obeyed, so when Ginny Weasley disappeared, Harry didn't rush blindly into the chamber. He gathered Ron. He gathered Lockhart, wandless, shaking, and exposed. He forced the truth out of him, and then Sirius arrived. Not crashing in, not reckless, silent and controlled. Like a storm choosing when to strike. The basilisk never stood a chance. Sirius fought like a man who had lost too much already. Fire met fang. Steel met scale. Harry struck the final blow with precision, not rage. The diary burned in Harry's hands, screaming as it died. Tom Riddle learned a painful lesson that night. This Harry Potter would not be used. The years passed, each darker than the last. Third year brought Dementors and fear Sirius had never shown Harry before. Not of the creatures themselves, but of what they took from him. They fed on joy, and Harry had been raised on love. They didn't starve. Harry learned the Patronus early, powerful and blinding. A great charging stag filled the air with defiance. James S. Magic. Lily's warmth, Sirius's loyalty woven through it all. Fourth year was a breaking point. The Triwizard Tournament was a trap from the start, and Harry knew it. He didn't want glory. He didn't want applause. He wanted to survive. Sirius moved like a ghost through the edges of the world. Watching, guarding, ready. When Harry was dragged to the graveyard. He didn't freeze. He fought. Voldemort rose, flesh and bone rebuilt, and found himself facing a boy who did not beg, did not panic, and did not doubt himself. Their wands locked. Priori incantate flared. The dead spoke. Harry escaped with Cedric's body, bloodied but unbroken. The truth exploded into the open. This time, no one could pretend. Fifth year was war. The ministry denied. The world fractured. Dolores Umbridge arrived at Hogwarts, dripping cruelty behind a fake smile. She didn't last long. Sirius didn't raise Harry to tolerate abuse. Evidence surfaced. Trials followed. Umbridge fell screaming under the weight of her own hatred. But the cost came anyway. The Department of Mysteries was a slaughter. Sirius fought like hell, and this time he lived. Bellatrix fell instead. Laughing turned to silence. Harry collapsed into Sirius's arms afterward, shaking for the first time in years. "I almost lost you," Harry whispered. Sirius held him fiercely. "You didn't, and you never will." By the final year, Harry was no longer a student in the eyes of the world. He was a symbol. Horcruxes fell one by one. Planning, precision. Trust, no child soldiers. No manipulation. No secrets. When Harry faced Voldemort at last, it was not destiny that stood between them. It was choice. Voldemort died knowing exactly why he lost. Because love had raised the boy, and love had made him unstoppable. The war did not end in cheers. It ended in silence. Smoke hung over Hogwarts like a heavy breath the castle refused to release. Stones were broken, towers scarred. The ground itself felt tired. Bodies lay covered in cloaks, friends and enemies alike, all equal in death. Victory never looked the way stories promised. Harry stood in the Great Hall, blood drying on his hands. Voldemort's body already gone, fading like the lie he had always been. People cried. People laughed hysterically. Some simply stared at nothing. Sirius found Harry near the shattered doors. For a moment, they only looked at each other. Then Sirius crossed the distance and pulled Harry into his arms. Hard and desperate, like he was afraid the world might still try to steal him away. Harry pressed his face into Sirius's shoulder, and for the first time since the war began, he let himself shake. "It's over," Sirius whispered, voice breaking. "You're alive. You did it." Harry nodded against him. "We did." The trials came later. Testimonies, names cleared. Truths dragged into the light where they burned. The wizarding world had to face what it had allowed, what it had ignored, and what it had asked children to fix. Harry refused medals, refused titles. He spoke once, only once, to the full Wisegamot. "You don't get to celebrate us," he said calmly. "You get to do better." Some were angry, some ashamed. Enough listened testified too. About Azkaban, about betrayal, about what happens when fear decides guilt. His voice never shook, but his hands did. Harry sat behind him the entire time, a quiet presence, a reminder of what had survived despite everything. They went home together after it was done. Not a hidden house, not a protected one. Just a place with sunlight and open windows and no wards humming with paranoia. For the first time in years, Sirius slept without a wand under his pillow. Harry took time away from the world. He didn't rush into Auror offices or politics or fame. He helped rebuild Hogwarts. He sat with the families of the dead. He learned how to live without constantly listening for danger. Some nights, the scars still ached, not with pain. With memory, Sirius noticed. He always did. "You don't have to be strong all the time anymore," Sirius said one evening as they sat outside, watching the sky change colors. Harry exhaled slowly. "I don't know who I am if I'm not." Sirius smiled softly. "You're my kid." That was never conditional. Harry swallowed and nodded. Years passed gently after that. Harry became a teacher at Hogwarts. Not because he wanted authority, but because he wanted kids to grow up safer than he had. He taught defense differently. Less fear, more understanding. More choice. Sirius never fully settled. He traveled, laughed loudly, lived hard. But he always came back. Always. On Harry's 30th birthday, Sirius handed him a small box. Inside was a simple ring. Not magical, not famous. "James wanted to give you something when you were older," Sirius said quietly. "Never got the chance. I think this fits." Ari closed his fingers around it, eyes burning. "Thank you, Dad." Sirius didn't joke this time. He just nodded, eyes shining. History would remember Harry Potter as the boy who lived. The one who ended a Dark Lord, the symbol of hope. But Harry knew the truth. He was a man who survived because someone chose him. Someone stayed. Someone loved him loudly, fiercely, imperfectly, and that made all the difference.